Alright guys, so I actually had a viewer request a video, first one I've ever had before. That's kind of awesome, makes me feel good. Um, he was asking for, I don't remember how he said it, I think it was alien shooter camera. Basically what he was asking for was a camera that could, when you move your mouse to the edge of the screen, it would move the edge of the screen, but try to keep the player in view. And took me a little bit, but figured it out. At first, I wasn't 100% sure how to get the screen space and everything, so I actually found a video by Ryan Laley. I will leave a link to that in the description below, and that kind of got the camera scrolling aspect of it in play. So all I really had to do at that point was add some constraints and some conditions, and we got ourselves a nice little camera. Let me show you guys what that looks like. So basically all we do is we hold right click, and if I move to the side of the screen, we can move around, we can look, and all this good stuff. And something else I added to it is if I let go of right click, we will come back to the edge of the screen. And you'll notice if I try to go further out, it doesn't go all the way out, so we got some nice constraints. Trying to keep the player in view. There, yeah, right about there, I probably could have strained it back a little bit more to get him in view a little bit more, but you get the idea. I'll show you guys how to adjust those variables and everything so you guys can have the camera doing exactly how you want it to do it. Let's get into it. Okay, I'm gonna launch a version 5.0 of the engine. If you guys want, you can use anything. I'd say at least 4.27 or higher. I'm gonna go into games here. We are going to grab a top-down character. This honestly would work for any other character as long as you transpose it over. But this just be a little bit easier as we already have the character and everything set up to be able to move off of mouse clicks. So a little bit easier, but you can also do this off of WASD movement. I'm just going to name this TDS for top down shooter underscore tutorial. Once your editor is loaded up, I'm going to go into top down BP folder, into blueprints. I'm going to right click, create a new blueprint class of type actor. I'm going to name this TDS camera underscore BP. That will be our camera. Open up the top-down controller, and inside the event graph of the top-down controller, I'm going to find some open space and say event begin play. Grab that. Then I want to spawn an actor from class. Then we want to get the character that is being controlled by this controller, so we can say get controlled upon. Then I want to get that actor's location, and I'll split this transform and plug it into the location. Then we want to set view target with blend, and what this will do is as soon as the game starts, we will spawn this camera at the location of our character and instantly switch our camera to that camera. Oh, I forgot to set the class. So right here in the class, I'm gonna hit the drop down and type in TDS camera BP, file save. We can close out of this now and move into our top-down character. In here, really all we need to do is find where it says switch cameras if HMD is enabled, hold Alt left click, just unhook that from the event begin play. And that way we're not utilizing these cameras on the side. You could just delete the cameras on the side and then delete the code that goes along with it, but I'm not going to worry about that because a lot of it's actually controlled from these cameras as well, utilizing them to get the cursor to world, stuff like that. So just for simplicity, we're going to come up here and just unhook it. All right, actually we can close that. Let me just do that really quick. And now finally we're going to come over here and open up our top-down shooter camera. So inside of our top-down shooter camera, we need to add a spring arm. So I can't remember what it was called. And I'm going to set this to about, let's say 900 on the target arm length. And then on that, oh, actually before I forget, still on the spring arm, come over here and untick do collision test, because our actor is going to be spawning on the floor, and if it's detecting that collision, then the camera is going to try to spawn underneath the floor. So without the collision test, it'll spawn where it needs to. Now we can add a camera to this spring arm, and oh, I wanted to rotate our spring arm, so select the spring arm. There we go. It's rotated about 50. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay. We could rotate this to get this exactly how I want it. Basically, issue with this is, let's go ahead and bring one of those in. And the way that this whole scene is already set up and everything, the x-axis is actually the forward vector, which I mean makes sense in a way. But the way that Ryan Laley does it in his video is he has the x-axis as the left vector. Well, we're gonna compensate for that. Don't worry about it. But we could just rotate everything so that the x-axis becomes the left. But I'm gonna show you guys how to code around that because I think that's a little bit more fun. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and delete this camera back out because remember, we will be spawning that into the world on begin play anyways. Go back into our top-down character and let's get into the code for it. Okay, I'm going to just remove all this really quick. And we can do this one of two ways. On begin play, we can either A, ask to top-down character, get the pawn, player pawn, do it this way, or I know there's a lot of people out there that are kind of you don't want to use casting as much as possible, which I totally understand, don't get me wrong. I think in this case casting would be perfectly fine though, but you could just get all actors of class if you're really trying to cut down on your usage of casting, and then just look for the not third down character, then pull off of the array there and get a copy. This will basically be the same thing here as it is here. I'm just going to do a cast because honestly, if you can't cast to your camera, then or to your character from the camera, then what can you cast to, right? So off of the as top-down character, I'm going to promote this to a variable. I'm going to name this the character ref. And then I want to get this actor location. And then we're going to set our location from that. Our as in the camera's location. Then I want to get the player controller and enable input. I'm actually going to hold control and move that down to the player controller slot instead. Okay. So this will basically set us up to where as soon as begin play happens for this, once this camera is spawned into the world, we are going to move the camera to the player's position, or the character's position, I should say. So move camera to character position and enable input, basically so that we can give input commands like holding right click to move the camera. All right, next we need to do a couple of things. Let's make a custom event really fast, and this one will be called reset player location. Okay, and I'm going to do a branch off of this, and what we're going to do is we're going to get the actor location of the camera, so self. Then I want to grab the character reference, do a get, and also get actor location. And I want to check, are these two equal within a small degree, within a tolerance? Equal to this one, I'm going to do a tolerance of just 1. That'd be perfectly fine. Check against that. And so if we are equal to it, I don't really want to do anything. But if we're not, then I want to set this camera back to the character position. So in order to do that, we want to do this just once. And we'll do a reset to unlock it again. Then want to, let's go ahead and I'll just copy the get actor location node, paste it over here. And I want to promote this to a variable. Call this current location. Now the reason I'm not doing this in a function is I want to be able to use a timeline. So really quick, add timeline, and we are going to call this timeline move camera back to player. It's a really long name. I'm going to hold control and move this play down to play from start. So basically what we're doing with this current location variable is every time this is called, we're going to update where the camera is in the world so that we can move it properly. Then I'm going to open up the timeline by double clicking on it. I'm going to add a float track. I'm going to call this float track alpha. Right click, add a new key. I'm going to set this first one to a time of 0 and a value of 0. And I forgot to run that. Right click, add another one. And we're going to have this one go to a time of 1 and a value of 1. Enter. Then the length, we're going to switch to a length of 1. If you feel like this is too abrupt when it's moving back, what you can do is click on the auto and bend the here, I'll just do it. Bend the arms in order to have a nice smoother transition. I'm not gonna worry about that for mine. I'm just gonna keep a nice straight line. But if that's something you want to do and want to play with that, go for it. All right. So on the update, we want to set the actor location, being the camera, so self. We want to get a lerp vector off of this. Our alpha will go into the alpha, and then our current location will go into the A slot. And then let's grab back down here, grab character reference and the character actor location, or get actor location, sorry. I'll plug that into the B. So basically, we're going to move from wherever the camera is at that moment to where the character is over, a given time. Nice and pretty. So when that's finished, we just want to loop back and reset the do once. If we didn't have this do once here, it would give us a very stuttery effect because this will be getting called on event tick, which brings me. Oh, I'm just gonna comment this and say reset camera back to character position. Do a quick event tick. And I'm gonna do a branch. We're gonna need a Boolean variable for this. I don't know what I called this on the other one. I think it was is free cam. And if it is free cam, actually, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna do it's not. So pull off of this and say not. If it's not free cam, which should be true unless we're holding right click, this one, then we want to run this reset player location. Okay, and then you guys that have watched Ryan Laley's video will notice that the false, that's when we're actually going to do all the movement. But I want to go ahead and set up this variable here really fast. So I'm going to go up to edit really fast. Go to project settings, input, for action mappings. I'm going to open it up so I can see it and then hit the plus. I'm going to call this free cam, even though it's not totally a free cam, but kind of. Open this up and say right mouse, get the right mouse button. You guys can use whatever button you're wanting to use for that. In our case, I'm going to use the right mouse. So now I can right click and type right, oh sorry, not right mouse, but free cam. Get the free cam input action. And when it's held down, I want to, let's hold left alt and drag out, giving us a set. Again, another set. So if it's pressed, we want is free cam to be true. If it's not pressed, then we want to switch to false. All right, so that's the input setup. Now we need to start working on a couple of functions to get the camera moving. I'm gonna go ahead and do a function that's not all that pretty. This will actually have a little bit of a description, or some stuff in the description below to kind of help you guys out with it. But go ahead and do this. So under graph, why did I do that? I did this when I was messing with it last night too. All right, so don't create a new graph, sorry, create a new function and just call this get camera distance. Over here on the side, I want to do a few outputs. So the Boolean, and I'm just going to do 4 of these. First will be move up, move down, move left, and move right. This will help us create the constraints we want to use. What we can do is, I want to give you guys the debug that I made so that I can get these numbers. So I'm going to copy paste it from over here. Basically, it's just this format text that we can plug into a print string and plug everything in. I will give you this part of the format text. The way you get to that is literally just right click, format text. And what's cool about format text, guys, is anywhere in here. So I can say cam, just like it is up above, and then we can put a curly brace, and I can put whatever I want in here. I could say butter. I don't know why butter popped in my brain, but this wildcard variable could be anything. It's just we have a name for it that we can just slap in there, and we could say this could be the get actor location if we really wanted it to be. And so now it can't be a vector, so let me split this so we could get the x of it. If you really wanted to, you could do that, and then butter.x, and then we could do y comma z, and now that will give us butter x, y, and z, and then you can plug this in and it would print you out our butter vector. A camera butter vector. I hope that that's understandable. As stupid as I made that sound. But yeah, that's basically how I made this. If you guys want to do that. Really good debug thing. Gives you a nice printout whenever you're trying to get some stuff going. But I like to do a branch in here, and we're just going to make a variable that we can kind of just turn this on and off really, really quick whenever we want. And I'm going to come in here and say is debug, and just for our purposes it's going to default to true for now, but just remember to turn this off whenever you get it dialed into where you want it, or just remove this code, either way. So we're going to do is debug. Actually, we'll do is not debug since I already have that true plugged in up there. There we go. Is not debug. If we're not using debug, then we will return. We'll just return. If we are using debug, then we want to do our print string, and we'll plug in our debug information to the print string, and also return with our stuff. Put this back. Now, in order to get the actual code that you're going to need to get everything to constrain, is we're going to do a get actor location. And then we want to get the character reference, and I'm going to, on my notes I got the mesh. I don't know why. I don't think I really need to get the mesh, so we'll just get actor location on this one as well. But I did get the mesh location on the other one. If we have any issues, I'll just remember to kind of look at that. I don't think we need that, to be honest. Get just the actor. All right, and then I want to subtract our location, the camera's location, from the character's location. I'm gonna split this struct, and I want to check the X, and this is where we're getting into the weirdness of it. Our X will actually be our forward and back, so our up and down. Our Y will be our left and our right. Unlike Ryan Laley's video where his X was his left and right and his Y was his forward and back. Just remember that difference. So I'm going to give you guys some magic numbers. These are what I figured out when I was doing this debug that I kind of liked. It's the ones we used in the video at the beginning, or the clip at the beginning of the video. So I'm going to say less than or equal to when I pull off of the X. This will be, that says 300 is what I had, not 3,300. And that will go into our move up. And then pull off here again, and we're going to say greater than or equal to negative 300. And this will go on our move down. So the positive obviously would be moving towards the top of the screen, negative would be moving towards the bottom of the screen. Okay. That will be our up and down. Our Y, we want, if we're going left, we want greater than or equal to negative 50 in my notes. I can't really read my notes. Do that for move left. And then again, we'll say less than or equal to positive 450 for our move right. And then obviously the X goes into the X, the Y goes into the Y. We have ourselves a nice little check area here. It can all go into this and print out everything. Now we can plug in our move up, our move down, our move left, and our move right. This is where the lines get really sloppy. If you guys pretty way of doing this. Honestly, if we just take this knot off, I'm gonna do that. Take that knot off. We're gonna plug this in here, and actually that's gonna be undo. It's gonna be pretty much the same. All right, so save that. And we needed that so that we can write these other functions that will move us left and right, but we need this as like kind of a check to stop us from moving left, right, up, and down and going too far. So in our functions, we're going to do a move left. So go off here and we're going to say get mouse position on viewport. I'm going to split this struct and multiply the x, multiply by another float, which is going to be our get viewport scale. Honestly, I don't think we need this. He said that there was some sort of bug that he was getting. I'm not sure. Oh, I remember now. This was to make sure that any resolution would work with this that he's doing. Yeah, I remember now. Sorry. So normalize to range is what we want, and we're gonna get this range by getting the viewport size. We're gonna split this struct and get the x off of it. We're gonna multiply that, and luckily Ryan did the math for us. Multiply, and we're gonna be doing that by 0.05 for 20% of the screen. Plug that into max. All right. Up here on the top, we're going to get the camera distance, which is our camera distance. There we go. Which is the function we just made. I'm going to do a branch off of this. And since we're working in the move left, we're going to check if we can move left. Back down here below at the normalized range, we want to do a clamp for a float. The minimum being 0, the maximum being 1. That's perfectly fine. And then we want to take this and do a subtract. But I want to hold control and move this to the bottom and set our top to being 1. Okay. And then I want to multiply by a vector. Again, I'm gonna hold control, move this to the bottom. Just for cleanliness, to be honest. Convert to vector. I'm going to split this vector. And then I want to make a new variable. I'll call this one camera speed. Set this as a float. Then plug it into our x. Oh, sorry, not the x. The y. And this is where we're kind of changing the fact that we're facing our x forward instead of our x to the left. Which reminds me, since we're going left, we actually need to multiply this camera speed. Not subtract, sorry. Multiply by -1. Since we're going to the left of 0, which would be negative, right? Plug that into the y. I'm going to compile really fast, and we're going to set a default value for our camera speed. I found that 10 was a really good one for me. You guys play around with it, find out what you like. Now, off of this, I'm going to say add relative location, and we're going to do that to our default scene root. Basically, that it just moves the actor. Okay, and that is our move left. Let's go ahead and check that, make sure that I'm doing this right. So I should hold right click, move left, and we forgot to call it in the event graph. Right off the bat, I know. I kept doing this when I did like a little practice run of recording this, and I kept doing this, and I'm still doing it. All right, so off of the false on our event tick, we're going to move left. All right, I'm gonna do this in a new window, new editor. and I'm gonna hold right click, and now you can see all of the beautiful where we are in the thing. As we move left, you'll see that the Y is going to the negative, and so right there we can see that we ended at negative 450.625. We like off of the right click, and we're gonna go back, but now we got to move our right up and down, which aren't working yet, and then yeah, we got left. Okay, now that we've got the move left taken care of, let's go over here and select move left on the side. We're going to do Control W to go ahead and create a move right function. Before I forget, back in the event graph, I'm going to pull off of move left here and say move right, because I know I'll forget if I don't do it now. Okay, so let's just go across the top really fast. We do want to get the view space and everything, but we want to move this from left to right, since we're going to be right. And now we'll come back down to the bottom, get viewport size. That's good. You know, okay, so we need to do 0.95 here. We're going to move this to the minimum, and then we're going to pull the Y off of this. Y off of that. What did I just say? We're going to move the X and put that into the max range. I don't know why I said Y. Okay, we are going to do a clamp float. We don't need to subtract 1 anymore because we're no longer going that way. So we can just plug that in here. We also don't need to go and multiply by -1. We'll plug just the positive camera speed in, because now we're going into the positive side of the coordinates to the right. And so we put it in the Y. Everything else looks good. Let's go ahead and try that out. So play. See, I would have forgot. I would have forgot to put it on the event graph. We move right, it doesn't go too far. We move left, go too far. Look at that. And we let off and we come back. Okay. Control W on our move right. I'm going to call this move up. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do the on the move right. We're going to do move left. It shares most of what it does. This will be move down. Actually, move. Let's just do move up. Let's just. Sorry. When I'm just waking up, guys, I gotta stop doing these so early, but it's the only time when it's quiet, you know? All right. So for our move up, we do want to do it from the Y instead of the X. So on both of these, we want to switch them to the Y, still multiplying by 0.05. Our minimum is still 0, clamping 0 to 1, still reducing by 1, camera speed multiplied by -1, but this time we're going to move it from Y to X. And again, we also need to move it from the move left, move up. And that should be our move up done. Play. Oh, and I forgot to do it on the event graph again, didn't I? Move. Ah, okay. And we move. Oh, we're going the wrong way. Did we move down by accident? What did I do here? Oh, you know what? We were multiplying by -1, weren't we? Yeah, okay, there it is. Move that to just camera speed. We do want to reduce by 1. Yes, but we don't want to multiply by -1 for this one. Okay. Now we can duplicate that and get our last one, move down. And before I forget, move down in the event graph. Now we got all 4 of them going. We just got to get our move down written up. So right off the bat, we want to move this guy, actually set this guy to be 0.95. We're going to move it from the max range to the minimum, and then we're going to plug our Y directly into the max. And yeah, so make sure that was Y. Okay, 0 to 1. going to not subtract by 1. Plug this guy in here, but we are going to multiply by -1. Plug that into the X. And then move our move up to our move down. File, save, play, move down, left, right. It is a little slow, this camera, but other than that, it's nice and pretty. And we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and remove that debug. Really quick, so we just come in here, is debug false, and I want to kind of switch this speed. Let's go like 20. See how that looks. There we go. A little bit faster. Then when we're done, you can move it right back. You want this to be faster, moving back, then you can come into the event graph, go back down to our timeline, and instead of having this be 1 second, you could set it to 0.5. Just make sure you set your time here on the second keyframe to 0.5, and your value keep it at 1. File, save, play, we move away, and it moves right back faster. So there you have it. Oh, sorry, let's make sure that you guys can see that you can move around as well. So I can click over there, and I can still look over here, and I can move, and all that good stuff. A little bit of jitteriness there, but work on that in a later video to get it nice and smoothed out. He did run off camera there for a second, so you do kind of want to play with this, play with the debug on, figure out what these sizes actually are, and you can even put a condition for when you're moving to actually reduce those sizes. So you can say if the character is moving, then the size is this. If the character is not moving, then the size is something else. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So like, comment, subscribe, and if you haven't already, join the Discord. That's what the viewer that requested this did. They threw a comment down saying, hey, can you do this? Then popped into Discord. We discussed what exactly it was that they wanted, and yeah, got it done. See you guys next time.